Train your English listening, B1.
What do you do? Do you work or are you a student?
I'm a student. I'm doing a part-time fashion and textiles course. I'm at Milton College in the center of the city. I'm in my third year and at the moment I'm studying 12 hours a week.
Are you enjoying it?
Oh yes, I am. I think it's great. I particularly like working with different materials like wool and leather. And I've just made a beautiful scarf, and it's made out of plastic. It looks very strange, but I think it's great. It's pretty amazing, in fact.
Would you like to learn anything new in the future?
Yes, I would. I'd really like to learn how to use computer software to create new designs. This should also help me create new shades of color. Using technology in this way would be really challenging for me, I think.
And is there a job you'd really like to do in the future?
Yes, there is. I'd love the chance to become a fashion photographer. And if I do well on my course and get some experience of taking pictures at my college fashion shows, perhaps my dream will come true. I've just bought myself a new digital camera and I've already learned how to take some great close-up shots. I'm going to tell you about a time when I learned something new. What did I learn? Well, I've always been an active and sporty person, and I really like cold weather. I love it when it snows in my country. That's why I decided to learn something that mixes these things together. Winter, sport, and snow. So, I decided to learn to ski. I learned with an instructor. There was a big group of us. We had a great instructor. It was really exciting when we were on the chairlift on the first day. We started on the nursery slope. I couldn't even walk on my skis at first, and I fell over many times. It took me a long time to learn how to keep my balance. It really is much more difficult than it looks. It was great fun. I really liked learning in a group, much better than learning individually. In fact, I was in a skiing competition recently, and I won. I got a silver cup, so I think that's quite a good result. How did I feel about the learning experience? Well, it was really thrilling to ski downhill for the very first time. I loved the feeling of speed. It was very exciting. I was so proud of myself when I reached the bottom of the slope and I was still standing. It was a great feeling.
So, what type of meal do you think we should have at the party, Jane?
I don't know, Mike. Do you have any ideas?
What do you think about preparing a Mexican meal?
I really like Mexican food, and we could have some fun Mexican party games, but I think it might be too spicy for some people.
That's true. We could have pizza. Everybody likes pizza.
I think we should have something healthier.
I know. We could have salad and roast chicken.
That sounds like a good idea. And it's fairly simple to prepare. Let's do that.
So, do you think that we now have everything ready for the meal?
Almost. I was just wondering what would be the best way of preparing the potatoes.
Well, you could just boil them and serve them with the fish.
That would be easy, but I don't think it would be very exciting.
What about frying them? Everybody likes fried potatoes.
They aren't very healthy, though, and I haven't got much oil left.
You could bake them and serve them with the salad Ellie's preparing.
That would taste good, but it takes ages to bake potatoes in the oven. I know, I'll boil them and then put them with Ellie's salad.
Before we go back to the flat, I think we need to check we have everything that we need.
Okay, well, you went to Arcadia, so I imagine that you got the strawberries and apples from there.
Yes, I did.
Did you notice if they had any cucumbers while you were over there?
I'm not sure. I thought you were going to get them.
Well, I went over to Best Buy and I got some nice carrots and peas, but I didn't like the look of the cucumbers.
Oh, I suppose we can go there on the way back to the station.
Don't forget, we need to get some cakes and pastries too. We can get those after we've been to Hampton's to get the lamb and chicken.
Okay, good plan.
In this new series of Talk of the Town, we'll be looking at the different restaurants in and around Ogdenville and getting some tips and recommendations from our resident food critic, Chris Griffin. So, Chris, where have you been this week?
Well, one restaurant that I really enjoyed is Adam's. It's on the town square. I ordered a steak au poivre, and it was perfect.
What's that?
It's a steak in peppercorns. It's quite a typical French dish.
So, is it a French restaurant or a steakhouse?
Well, the chef is French, but it serves food from all over the world. It has a wide variety of dishes. One word of warning, though, it gets really busy at weekends, so you should check they have places before you go.
Have you got any other recommendations for us this week, Chris?
Oh, yes. I can really recommend The Duke on Smith Street. I had lobster, and it was really tasty. It also has a few vegetarian dishes, but it's the fish dishes that make it famous in the town. The food isn't that low cost, though, so you might want to save going here for a special treat.
What about people who are on a budget? Have you got any suggestions for them?
Yes, I have. The Tower in Market Street is a fashionable restaurant where people can get a good meal at a reasonable price. I had a pizza, but it isn't a fast food restaurant. It specialises in all different types of food from Italy. I've heard that the lasagna is especially good.
Thanks, Chris. You certainly have given us all food for thought.
I suppose one thing that everybody knows about Japanese, Chinese, and Korean cooking is that they all use chopsticks rather than knives and forks like people in the West. The chopsticks that people use in the different countries are quite different, though. In China, the chopsticks tend to be made of wood and are round at the end, whereas in Korea they're made of stainless steel and are rough at the end. This is because in the past, the emperor would use silver chopsticks, as they changed color if there was any poison in the dish. They can be quite tricky to use, but in Korea people use a spoon to eat their rice. In Japan, they use a variety of things to make chopsticks. Wood and plastic are the most popular now, but you can find bone, metal, and even ivory ones. If we look at the food of the different countries, it's very difficult to talk about China in general terms because it has many different cuisines. So it might be better if we look at Korean and Japanese food a little more. It's well known that Koreans tend to like spicier food, and red peppers can be found in a wide number of dishes. I suppose that everybody thinks of sushi when they think of Japanese food, but you can also find a lot of influences from all over Asia and even Europe. For example, tempura, which came to Japan from Portugal. Those aren't present in Chinese and Korean food. Traditionally, in both Japan and in Korea, meat plays less of an important role than in Europe, perhaps because it's so expensive due to the lack of space for keeping animals. That said, both the Japanese and Koreans enjoy meat. Barbecues of all types are popular in Korea, and beef forms the basis of many special meals in both of the countries. Now, moving back to Chinese cuisine.
Today in the studio, I am pleased to have with me the famous chef Graham Shepherd. Graham has just come back from Beijing in China, where he was making a TV programme on the food you can try in this historic city. So, Graham, what can you tell us about your trip? Was it how you expected it to be?
It was quite surprising, really. I suppose that most people think of Beijing duck when they think of Beijing. And I did try some of this tasty traditional dish. But with so many people from all over the country living in Beijing, there really are a lot of different foods from all regions of the country. One dish that I really enjoyed and I didn't expect to find was kebabs. These tasty snacks are originally from northwest China, but they're very popular street food in Beijing. They're especially popular as a tasty snack at lunchtime for school pupils. They have less meat and more vegetables than we are used to, so they're a bit healthier.
I'm sure that most people have tried kebabs, but did you try anything that might be unusual for our listeners?
Oh yes, one of the things that I had was jellyfish. It added a nice texture to the dish, but I thought it didn't taste of much. One dish that did have a strong taste was hot pot. The dish I had was made in the Sichuan style, so it was very spicy. What I found interesting was that the hot pot was put on a hot plate in the centre of the table, and we were given a dish of raw food, and we chose what we wanted and put it into the pot ourselves, and got it out when it was ready. It was great fun, and very sociable, and very tasty.
I'm sure that you tried some of the dishes that we all know and love too. Can you tell us something interesting about them?
Of course, everybody knows about noodles and dumplings, but I doubt many people know how many different types there are. One of the highlights for me was learning how to make fresh noodles with a chef from northern China. The recipe of egg, salt, and wheat flour is quite simple, but to make the noodles by hand you need to be quite a skillful chef. Something which is much simpler to make are dumplings. The basic ingredients are flour and water, but the beauty of this dish is that it's very flexible. You can fill them with whatever you like. I especially enjoyed one with raw prawns, but all sorts of meat and vegetables can be put in them.
Thanks, Graham. That's really interesting, but unfortunately we've run out of time. If you'd like to know more about Graham's adventures, the series will be starting on Thursday at 7 o'clock on Channel 9.
What kind of food is popular in your country?
These days, a lot of young people actually enjoy Western food, like pizza and fried chicken. Our national food is often too spicy, especially for children and foreigners, and also it takes too long to cook. I think that it's delicious, though.
What do you think of Western food?
Well, I suppose Western food is quick to make and is tasty too, so everyone can eat it without too much trouble. I think that a lot of people like food to be convenient because they're so busy nowadays.
Is there any kind of food you don't like?
Yes, I'm not keen on sushi at all. It's so strange eating something that hasn't been cooked. I know it's very fresh and healthy, but I just don't like the taste, and I can't stand the texture. It's too chewy for me.
I'm going to talk about an Italian dish, risotto. It's a rice dish, and most people in my country enjoy it. Unlike in most countries, we fry the rice with onion in olive oil before we add any liquid. We don't cook it in water, but a kind of soup or broth, which can be made of meat, fish, or chicken. I'm from Milan, and our traditional risotto is made using saffron, which gives the dish a beautiful yellow color. It's a very creamy and delicious dish. We usually have it as a starter, not as the main meal. Firstly, I think that it's popular in my country because, and not a lot of people know this, but Italy is one of the biggest producers of rice in Europe. It's very simple to cook, and as I said before, you can use all types of ingredients. Anything that you can find in the fridge. Also, Italians don't like to waste food. So if you have some fish or some meat and it isn't enough for a meal, you can always make risotto. I love it, first of all, because it always reminds me of home. My mother is very fond of cooking risotto, and if I was unhappy, she used to make it for me, and it always cheered me up. I don't live at home now, and so when I'm feeling homesick and missing my family, I always try to find an Italian restaurant and have some risotto. And secondly, I like it because it's a great meal to make for friends. Easy to prepare, but very tasty. You can get risotto everywhere nowadays, but it isn't always that good. If you visit my country, especially the northern part, I recommend that you try to taste risotto there. It really is special, and I promise that you will find it different to any risotto that you have tasted before.
Whatever you do, don't miss our summer sale. This weekend, and this weekend only, we're reducing all our prices right across our store. So, on our first floor, you'll find women's jeans at just $20 a pair. And just in time for the holiday season, our t-shirts and swimwear are on special offer too. And if you're looking for shoes, you'll want to visit the fourth floor. You'll find a good selection of styles and colors in our footwear department, situated right next to the coffee shop. This weekend, they're all half price, and that includes a wide choice of sports shoes in most sizes. So hurry before they're all gone. Sale ends Sunday. Miss our sale? Miss out.
So, Jess, what do you think of my hat?
It's very nice. I like the colour, and it'll definitely keep the sun off your face. Actually, I didn't notice the clothing stools.
I know you didn't. That's because you spent most of your time there looking at all the jewellery. And relaxing in all that fresh air, of course.
That's true. But actually, I managed to find a really nice necklace, and you'll never guess how cheap it was. Do you want to have a look?
So, what did you think of it? It only opened a few weeks ago, didn't it?
Yes, that's right. So that's why it was very busy. In fact, it was a bit like being at a football match. There were so many people. But I really liked it. It's very convenient because there were at least 50 different shops all under one roof. And there's a car park too. I'd really like to go back.
Then how about going along there together next weekend? I'd really like to see it for myself. I also need to buy a birthday present for my mum. You could help me choose something for her. And we can go for a coffee afterwards. I'll pay.
And now for the local news. A new branch of Sports World, the Danish sporting goods company, is opening on Saturday. Most of you will be familiar with the branch in the south of Grinstead that opened 2 years ago and which has enjoyed a lot of success. There was talk of them opening a new store in the Meadows shopping centre in the north of the town, but they have finally decided to open in the east, near the football stadium. As a special treat for fans, Grinstead Town's Danish striker Jesper Nielsen will be opening the store ahead of their home match at the weekend.
That's the end of our tour of the city, so you now have a couple of hours to spend exploring the city centre. If you want to buy souvenirs, you might find them cheaper near the hotel. However, if you're feeling a bit tired, there are plenty of tea shops nearby, and they also sell boxes of tea that make really good presents. A word of warning, you'll find a lot of cheap electronics stores offering cameras at really low prices. They might seem good quality, but we've had a lot of complaints from tourists who have bought them only to find they break after about a week.
Thank you for calling the Eastgate Shopping Centre. The centre is currently closed. Our opening days and times are as follows. Monday to Saturday we are open from 9 o'clock until 6 o'clock, and on Sunday our doors open at 11 o'clock and we close at 5 o'clock.
When I first opened the shop 3 years ago, we mainly sold shirts and jackets that I had designed, and these proved very popular. However, we added more products as the business started to grow. We also started selling online. The jackets and shirts are still really popular, especially online, but in the shop itself we sell trousers more than any other item. We also sell a lot of t-shirts. When I first opened the shop, I had a lot of designs that I'd worked on at university, and in general these had writing on the front. I thought that it might be fun if people could put a photograph on the t-shirts as well. I invested quite a bit of money in this, and they were popular at first. We sometimes have young children who come in with their parents and they buy T-shirts with photographs on. I've stopped designing T-shirts with writing on them because I don't have the time, so now we sell more T-shirts with nothing on them at all. If fashions change, I might go back to designing them, and if you want a photograph on your T-shirt, you know where to come.
Calling all fans of Sam West. This famous adventure writer will be in Westfield Shopping Centre tomorrow in Bookworm's bookshop on the first floor. He will be signing copies of his latest book, Timed Out. He's expected to get there at 2:15 and will stay until 3:30. Get there as soon as you can because queues will start to form as early as noon. Don't miss this great opportunity to meet everyone's favourite writer.
I had a great day in that new shopping centre, but I would complain about one thing, and not the usual kind of thing. The service in all the shops was good, and I had a delicious lunch in the cafe on the 3rd floor. No, the annoying thing was the amount of rubbish I saw around me. I think it was because there weren't enough rubbish bins for people to put their empty cans and sweet wrappers in. But apart from that, I would say that it's well worth a visit.
Hello, everyone. So, can you all hear me and see me? Okay. My name's David Edwards, and I'm your tour leader for your shopping tour today. Now, as you can see, we're parked just in front of the main theater. If any of you would like tickets for tonight's performance, we can arrange that for you. We're just round the corner from the railway station. If you want to come on our historic buildings tour tomorrow, the coach will leave from just outside the station. And if you want to go for a drink at the end of our tour today, there are plenty of cafes just behind the station. We're still waiting for a few people, but while we wait, I can tell you a little about the theater. Although the building is very modern, in fact, a theater has existed on this site for over 200 years. The original theater used to be very popular because of the musicals it put on. However, it had to be rebuilt after a fire. Some people love the striking modern design, others hate it. These days, its popularity is mainly due to the fact that it attracts a lot of well-known performers. Now, in a few minutes' time, at 9:30, we'll be starting our tour. First, we're going to make our way down to Marketplace, which is one of the most famous squares in the city. That should take us about 10 minutes. There's not too much traffic on the roads, so we should get there at 9:45 at the latest. Marketplace was the city's old food market. People used to come in from the countryside to sell their fresh fruit and vegetables. Remember that these were the days before supermarkets. You won't find any food here now, though. It's now a craft market, and I think you'll find lots to interest you, especially if you want to take presents home. You'll see all kinds of things like hand-painted local pottery and leather goods. Personally, I suggest that you visit the jewelry stalls. You really won't find anything like it anywhere else. But if you're looking for clothes, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. Wait for this afternoon's visit. We'll stop at Marketplace for an hour and a half and then continue the tour with a visit to the Regional Food Center. Here you can find over 50 types of local cheeses. There is also fresh fruit juice on sale. Orange juice, peach juice, pomegranate juice, produced in the villages of the region. And local jam, too. You're welcome to buy things to take home with you, but the real reason for our visit is lunch. The idea is that you buy food and drink from the stalls and take it to eat in the lovely open-air dining area. And finally, in the afternoon, we will be visiting the fashion fair in the exhibition center on the outskirts of the city. This is a huge venue, so try not to get lost. There is a whole hall devoted just to footwear. Every kind of shoes and boots you can imagine. You can easily find it because it has a green roof.
Just don't go through the blue doors at the entrance of the center. You have to pay for that part of the exhibition. And if all that shopping has exhausted you, there's a cafe where you can rest your weary feet. That's in the building with a red sign. But don't worry, I'll remind you all about that later. Right, everyone's here now, so if you've all got your shopping bags, let's go.
The place where I really enjoy shopping is Covent Garden Market. It's very convenient because it isn't far from where I live. It isn't a traditional food market, though at one time it used to sell fruit and vegetables. Now it's a collection of all sorts of independent shops and stalls. There's an amazing selection of things to buy: clothes, jewellery, books, art, and crafts. I love it because it has a great atmosphere. There are cafes outside in the square, and often you can see street performers. It's very lively and friendly. I avoid the big malls because they're often out of the way. You need a car to get to them. And what do I enjoy buying? Well, I'm keen on fashion and like to go clothes shopping whenever I can. I love trying on clothes even if I can't afford to buy them. And I absolutely love going to the sales. Sometimes I manage to find great designer shoes at very reasonable prices. And I like shopping for really fun and original gifts for my friends, things that nobody else has. Covent Garden's a great place to do that.
You asked me to describe a place where I like going shopping, so I'm going to talk about a department store in my town. It's called Judy's, and it's a very old store. In fact, it's about 100 years old, so it's very famous. I would say that it's a landmark because everyone knows it. It's very large and spacious too, with 4 floors and more than 30 different departments to visit. You can find anything you want here, such as unusual presents for your friends. And you can buy really good food too. For example, you can buy traditional cakes and sweets that are famous in my area, and they are delicious. It's an amazing shop, but it's not cheap. In fact, it's one of the most expensive shops in the area. I think it's in a good location because it's right in the center of the town, which is very convenient. It's also very close to the railway station and a multi-story car park too. So that's good for you if you have lots of shopping bags to carry. What do I like to do there? Well, I really like spending time in the jewelry department, and this is on the ground floor of the building. I love looking at the different rings and necklaces. I enjoy trying them on too. I like gold jewelry the best, but I can't afford it. Why do I like it so much? Well, I like the atmosphere in the store because it's very traditional. All the sales assistants are very friendly and helpful too. Yes, it's a really good store, so that's why I spend a lot of time in it.
Thanks for offering to drive us all to the concert. It's really kind of you and makes getting there much easier. I don't live far from you at all. First, you need to turn right onto Maple Avenue and drive to the bottom of the road, passing the supermarket on your left. Then you need to turn left at the traffic lights and then take a sharp right onto Main Street. You can also go straight on here, past the surgery, but I usually drive down Main Street. Follow this road until you reach a roundabout. You'll pass a park and some shops on your right. When you get to the roundabout, take the first turning on the left onto Silver Street. As you approach the crossroads here, my house is the first on the corner. Sorry, I've just remembered. I told Sarah you would collect her on the way. Forget the route I just gave you. I'll give you another set of directions. This route might even be easier. Again, you need to turn right onto Maple Avenue and go up to the lights. Instead of turning left here, turn right with the park on your left. Then, after the zebra crossing, take the first turning on your left onto New Road. Drive along New Road until you reach the bridge. Sarah's house is the second house after the bridge. That's on the right. There are shops on the left. Once you've picked up Sarah, take the first turning on the left onto Silver Street and go straight ahead until you reach the roundabout. Go straight ahead at the roundabout and then take the first turning on the right, Oak Avenue. My house is number 1. It's on the corner.